All right, Matt. I think we're back from our trip to LA. We played Battlefield 6, and I think we're ready to give people our unbiased opinion on Battlefield 6.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I don't know
Let me just
about
take a quick
yeah.
sip from my drink here.
Oh yeah. Come to think of it,
the lids,
I'm
yeah.
thirsty as well.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, no, I'm excited too to talk all things Battlefield. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a little general excitement around the game right now.
In fact, I wrote some notes down in my little book here. I don't know if you wrote some notes about the thing.
I did, yes.
Got my Battlefield
I
pen in
also
my book as
made
well.
sure to make a nice little pamphlet as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's got all sorts of different things that we can talk about, throughout tonight.
Oh, sick! Did you get you remembered your dog tag, of course, right? Your Battlefield,
Of course.
BF6
But I have
dog
that
tag?
underneath the shirt, so
Okay,
I don't want to
gotcha.
get that out.
Gotcha. For people listening to the podcast right now, Matt and I are decked out in Battlefield merch, which was given to us at this event, which is funny because here we are trying to give you our unbiased, honest opinion in what is a ton of merch. I'm going to take off my jacket now because I'm literally
I'm going to take
dying.
it all off.
Yes, that's what I was hoping for, Matt.
Good. That's what this is what it's becoming. Also, I do look like a little league kid going to baseball for the first time with this giant hat. Like, it is ridiculous.
Do you need to get like
I'm bald
smaller?
again. I forgot I was bald. Damn it.
Yeah. I'm taking off that. It's too hot in here. It's too hot. It's like 80 degrees outside, and that bomber jacket is like. I was just saying how that bomber jacket doesn't breathe, Matt. Woof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not my favorite for a hot day.
Not the best wear. Yeah. Not could have better options.
Yeah. But so we spent a week together, Matt. It was good to see you in person.
Yeah, it was
man.
lovely. Yeah, we had a hot date at a couple restaurants. It was lovely.
Yeah. We ate burgers and pizza and cheesecake and croissants and
cheese quesadillas.
Quesadillas. I saw
The
you
old
pounding those
quesadillas?
quesadillas, man. A 3-year-old picked the food venue for the event that we went to.
Yeah,
And,
you want vegetables? Not today.
dude, I came home. I peeled
I
a
had
carrot.
one lettuce.
Yeah. I got in the door within minutes. I was like eating a carrot. I was like, oh, sweet vegetable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tell little me long time ago that I'd be like excited for some broccoli. Like, yeah.
I know. So we went to the Battlefield 6 multiplayer reveal event, which
Yep.
It's not the reveal event, the multiplayer reveal event in which we got to see some of the multiplayer, but not all of the multiplayer.
Not all of it.
There's a whole bunch of presentations. Vince was there, Byron Beatty was there. They did a big old presentation. I think everybody on the live stream essentially saw what we saw.
Yeah.
And then we got to play. We got to squad up. We got to play with, there's 222 content creators there, man. How crazy
There's
is
a
that?
lot. I think there's also press too, which bumped it up to like 400 or something crazy.
Yeah. Then they had press in there as well. And they were the easy kills when we played. I was like, who is this noob?
Well, I wasn't going to go that far,
No,
but
no.
they definitely weren't as good as the others. Yes.
They were good for the kill streak clips.
Yeah.
But it was kind of an insane event. So many people there, so much stuff going on. There was like 200 PCs with like 50 90s in them, which I was just like, what? Where
It
did
was
you
really
get
well done
these?
too, just in general. I mean, there was obviously some technical issues for some people, but by and large, that many people, that many moving parts,
Yeah.
it was a pretty well done event. Now, full disclosure, I think both of us did get, we were both sponsored by EA, so I want to put that
Yes.
out there. We're still going to try to give our honest opinion, but you guys should know that.
Yeah. Basically you go to an event like this, you are sponsored, but it's exciting. I wanted to go. Yeah. I wanted to chat with the devs. Actually, that was one of my favorite things, is to talk to the devs and sort of get a little bit of insight into the tech and processes behind the scenes. I nerd out on that stuff. I find it interesting. I think overall, the sentiment from what I've seen is pretty darn positive around Battlefield 6.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think pretty much everyone I talked to was enjoying themselves, with a couple of exceptions here and there. But yeah, everyone was especially vibing with the larger scale maps. Maybe not the smaller game modes, but once again, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah. So we got in, we played a very small pie slice of the overall multiplayer package where we were limited to weapons. We didn't have a big arsenal of weapons. There's like maybe 20 guns or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was about 14, 15 total.
Okay. Yeah. So around that many weapons. And then we played more than 2 maps, but I think one of the maps was a few of the maps were relegated to like their smaller versions, like the TDM versions. So we didn't get to see like 4 full-scale conquest maps. We got to see smaller versions of some of the maps. And with 9 launching, that means we technically got to see less than half of the classic multiplayer content that's coming out with the game. So we didn't get to experience everything. And I think the map selection that we were given to play was more or less just what was ready at the time, was like the most polished and ready for us to play through.
Probably.
Otherwise, I think they probably would have tried to show us some bigger maps. And I had an absolute blast, but that was one of the critiques from the event was we played a lot of close quarter, tight-knit maps. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people who wanted to experience the classic big open battlefield, right? The big field of battle. It wasn't so much there for what we played, but it seemed more of a just what was ready for the event versus what I'm hoping is a much bigger variety upon launch.
It's possible that you're right. They're going to try to put their best foot forward for a reveal. They don't want things that are not ready to be shown. But if this is any indication of what the other maps are going to be and the performance of the other maps, I didn't have any performance problems like at all during the entire time that it played at all. I mean, I think someone investigated that we had like 4080s, so it's not like we had slouch of PCs or anything, but it was 1440p, and I don't know what the frame rate was, but it didn't seem to ever dip.
I saw a leak so somebody was doing performance testing on their PC, because of course, and there was like a leak where they got it up to like 300 FPS or something, doing something crazy. And considering that the recommended specs are, I think, a 3060 Ti.
Yeah, 3060 or 3070, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That bodes extremely well for the performance of the game, the stability. Like, obviously, it's going to launch on the consoles. It's not supporting last-gen consoles, which is kind of a first for Battlefield games in a while, anyway. And so it felt really well optimized. I noticed no stuttering during gameplay whatsoever, and I was actually, now my dev brain was looking at it a little differently, and I actually messaged one of the devs about the particle system after the event, because I was like, hey man, I'm editing through this footage and like you guys are just flooding the screen with volumetric smoke everywhere, which is like notoriously one of the most expensive things you can do in games, and it's why when you see an explosion in a game, the whole effect is like gone in 3 seconds, because if there's too many of them on screen at once, your frame rate just crashes. So they have to have these like kind of unrealistic explosions where in real combat you see lots of dust and debris flying everywhere and lingering. Battlefield 6 had a lot of lingering smoke and particles that really added to the atmosphere, and I was like, how the heck did you guys do this? Because not only does it look great, but it's running incredibly well, like really well. And he was just like, we got some of the best like VFX people in the industry, and was telling me how they had a lot more of their particles were CPU bound before, CPU based, because it's better at calculating physics for stuff. But they managed to offload a huge amount of it to GPU calculations, probably some instance stuff going on there. So they just did a lot of like really clever stuff behind the scenes, which you might not notice right away when playing the game. But that's something I appreciated, which is like, I don't think I've seen any game ever do this many volumetric particles on screen at once and have it perform at any sort of decent
as well as it
rate.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so, it's very pretty. They did a great job.
Yeah, it really
So
showed
far.
in the Cairo map. That was my favorite
Yep.
map. Well,
Yep.
what do you
No,
think?
me too. Hands
Yeah.
down. Cairo. So, because we only played really on two, technically three conquest maps, Siege of Cairo was definitely top tier. They described it as being very inspired by Strike at Karkand, and I could see that. You could really feel that inspiration, not just from the setting, but also just like kind of the gameplay moving between building
Mm-hmm.
and building. I really like that, and yeah, it's gorgeous. And when there are explosions happening all over the place, and you're seeing the debris falling down, and the tanks are just pummeling sections, it is a feast of the senses.
Yeah, there's a particular moment that I remember really well of being grouped up behind a tank, pushing down a street. We're like repairing the tank. It's taking RPGs. It's shooting, blowing up buildings. We're peeking out, shooting infantry and stuff like that. Going back to repairing. It felt like we were kind of like in a movie sequence almost. And
Yeah.
Battlefield's always been good about doing that, but when you
Yep.
ramp up the visuals even more, because I mean the game. Each Battlefield game, most Battlefield games launch with what I would consider to be like top tier visuals, right?
Yeah.
Like
we'll just ignore 2042.
Yeah. Aside from that, the last game there, just amazing visuals. I think BF6 is gonna be comparable to any game that's out right now. I did see some funny Reddit posts where people were like, "Is it me or have the graphics for video games not changed in the past 10 years?" And they're showing like Battlefield 6 visuals and
Versus
like BF3 visuals or BF4 visuals or whatever.
They are right in some ways. The
Yeah.
HD textures aren't improving that much because you can only make a texture so HD.
Yeah.
But the lighting and, like you said, volumetric, fog and stuff like that, all the particle effects, that is definitely a huge step up, and mainly the lighting.
Yeah. Oh no, I kind of agree with them to. I mean, like there is a huge visual difference, but it's more nuanced, right? Because there's just going to be diminishing returns. We've already hit model fidelity. Remember when like the graphics difference was like, oh, the previous game had like tanks that were like super, super low poly and you could see all the, like the wheels are hexagons or something.
Right.
And now that's not really a big limiting factor for anything. So they can just crank up the polys. You're not seeing lots of polygonal surfaces on character models. And so that's not really a big difference now between titles, is the model fidelity. That's no longer a factor. Physically based rendering materials have been a thing for like almost a decade or probably over a decade, and they've been getting better and better and better. So those shaders are getting nuanced and more refined, but it comes down to like subtle reflections in the way light bounces off of stuff, as opposed to like, here's a flat texture and here's a reflective texture. Like we're not seeing those kinds of leaps anymore.
To give people the benefit of the doubt, they are watching through like a live stream or a YouTube video, and maybe YouTube's compression or something like that is not making it look as nice. But also, Battlefield 6 looks leaps and bounds way better than Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4. Like, it's not even close. Like, you can go back you can play those games now. Maybe it's just nostalgia too, that you just remember it differently. But no, Battlefield 6, without a doubt, is one of the prettier looking Battlefield games, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the funny thing, is going back and you're like, this game looks so amazing back when I played it. And then you see it again. And it's like when I played Diablo 2 Remastered. And I was like, it looks pretty similar. Let me hit they included the button.
Let me hit the replay button. Yeah.
Yeah. They gave you the button that would switch between old graphics and current graphics. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah. The pixels are like
difference.
Gigantic on the screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, BF6 looks incredible. Gameplay wise, it felt like, I just slid right back into it. Like it was like I've been playing Battlefield forever,
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot that like threw me off as like, oh, this is way different from before. It felt very easy to get into. The movement felt pretty good. The gunplay felt pretty good. I did see some debates online about the recoil and all that stuff.
A lot of debate, yeah.
Interestingly, I didn't feel like the recoil was that crazy different from past Battlefield games. Like, I don't know about you. It might be super subtle, but weapons had recoil. Maybe it wasn't extreme recoil, but it also kind of...
It depended on what gun you were using. A lot of the people that I'm seeing making comparisons online are showcasing like the AEK from Battlefield 4's recoil versus the LMG that is designed to have minimal recoil in real life and also in the game.
100.
Right. Now, that I don't think that's necessarily a great... I mean, that's a terrible comparison. I think they should have probably used the same weapon from Battlefield 4 because I think they had it in there too. But I do think that some of the weapons were a little bit too laser beamy and could use a bit more kick. The MP7 was absolutely insane. Didn't really hit very hard at a distance, but because it was really accurate and didn't have much recoil,
I really liked the SMGs actually.
Me too. Yeah, they were fun.
I found myself using them in so many more situations than I would consider using them in, say, BF4 or BF3, where in those games, their effectiveness at range just drops so severely that you just felt completely uncompetitive. But because of, I guess, their accuracy or something in this, you could really drop people at range, and then you had the added hip fire accuracy benefit in close quarters, so you could kind of get the drop on people a little quicker. And
so you don't have to aim down sight.
I liked the balance though. It was nice not being as restricted with an SMG, like as range restricted. But there was still clearly an advantage to having an assault rifle at range.
I still feel like getting back, there are weapons I think probably could use a little bit more recoil. The MP7 and some of the LMGs were a little bit too accurate and beamy. Though they did have downsides. They didn't do as much damage. You could add an attachment that made them deal more headshot damage, but still their base damage wasn't that high, and that was kind of the thing that limited them a bit. So if you had the drop on someone, or didn't have the drop on someone, it was a fair fight, you'd probably lose because you just didn't have the damage output compared to them, even if you had a lot of, accuracy. So I'm hopeful that some of them will get a bit more recoil, but by and large, you used like a normal carbine or assault rifle, you needed to burst fire a little bit. At least that was what I found to be most effective.
Yeah.
Kind of like how I performed in previous Battlefield games. Plant your feet, tap, or like hold down the button, and then release, and then keep, kind of repeat, rinse, and repeat. And it felt like old Battlefield.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also, so like some people posted clips of like, here's me not doing recoil control at all on guns and stuff.
Yeah.
But also a lot of the footage that people are watching are people who do nothing but play video games all day. So their recoil control is already pretty good,
Yeah.
It's just like second nature to compensate while you're playing. And Battlefield is certainly not a game that gives extreme recoil. And it's definitely, BF6 is not a game that is high on the overall spectrum of recoil if you compare it to other Battlefield games. Like BF1 had significantly more recoil for a lot of their guns and stuff. But it didn't strike me as being too inaccurate, and there's plenty of people that were making the arguments of like, here's like a real Ultimax, and it's like a guy holding a machine gun with one hand over his head and like firing it with no recoil. It's like at a certain point, if your argument is realism, then the real weapons have such low recoil now for a lot of modern assault rifles that some of this stuff is not a great argument. But
it's one of the reasons. I think this gets to. I don't like the realism argument for this. Because I want the weapons to actually be fun to use and have recoil, because I think that makes the game more engaging.
Sure.
So even if a weapon is a laser beam in real life, that doesn't necessarily mean I want to have it be like that 100% in the game.
Yeah.
Because it's just not as fun. It's not as engaging, right?
Yeah. I didn't, honestly, none of that really concerned me. I saw a lot of argument and debate about it online, but they're months away from launch, and Battlefield and DICE have a long history of lots of rebalancing weapons, tweaking things. Whenever something becomes the meta gun, they seem to like reanalyze it and try and rebalance stuff so that
these aren't foundational issues. These aren't big pillars of the game that they can't adjust. It's dials and levers, and they're going to be able to, this will now have slightly more recoil, this one will have a little bit less. I'm not really bothered by the recoil. I think people will get their opinion once the beta comes out. I think people realize like, no, there's kick here. There are some guns that are laser beams, but there's definitely recoil on some of them. I personally want there to be maybe a little bit more on some, But I was actually really happy with the way that weapons performed. They're actually really fun to use.
Yeah. What'd you think about destruction? Like, it was a big part of the trailer. You know, they played the like Limp Bizkit song, and it was all just about breaking.
Cool.
Which was sick.
I liked it.
Yeah, I did too. It felt old school, which I liked.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this does feel like an old school game remade for modern times, and the destruction is definitely amped up, at least on the visual side.
Yes.
How do you feel about it's like? Do you feel like the destruction is really evolving what we've seen in past games, or does it fall more in line with what we've seen before?
I don't think it's evolving. It's destruction, and so there's only so many ways you can destroy a building. But I found it to be a little chaotic because it's so over the top in terms of the visuals that you'll like blow up a building and then like you can't see anything inside. Like there's just rubble flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
I also felt like the game modes, this was mainly the smaller game modes. They were a little bit too fast for me to be able to actually use the destruction to my advantage, which I found to be a little frustrating at times. I don't think this will be as big of a problem on the larger maps because you'll have like a bit slower flow of how you want to approach situations. But yeah, it's really cool, but it's a lot to take in. You RPG that building and the entire facade of the building kind of just crumbles around you. And if there's someone inside of there, like you may have done some damage, but you're not seeing them for a couple of seconds unless you get lucky, right?
Yeah. It felt like the destruction felt like a huge visual upgrade. Definitely more busy and more chaotic, like you said. Mechanically, it didn't feel too different from past games.
No.
And in fact, if people were like, I was trying to rebel drop people, kind of like the BF.
I don't think you can.
I think you do damage, but I think the damage is super low.
Is it minimal? Okay.
Yeah. So if you see like a squad below a building and you like RPG the side of the building and that rebel drops on them, I think you will do damage, but like
it won't take them out.
Yeah. So if they're already hurt, you might get a kill with it, but it felt less significant than past games, and I'm sure that's a gameplay balance choice, you know.
Yeah.
Especially in a map like this, that would be kind of a go-to tactic right away in any firefight. Is just like people were already maining RPGs a little bit while we played,
right?
And so it would just become like, okay, well, the beginning of the round is everybody just rebel dropping everybody, and then after all the rebels gone, now we're going to switch over to normal guns, you know.
I think another reason why it felt so chaotic is I didn't really understand where people could be or where like what the flow of the map was, even for the conquest. So I didn't know where to like launch my RPG because I just didn't know what stuff could be rebelled. So I think once we get more comfortable with the maps and we have a better idea of how things work, I think it won't feel so chaotic and it'll feel more like Bad Company, because I was definitely getting Bad Company vibes for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see someone run into a building and be like, oh, you think that's going to save you? And then blow up the side of the wall and then take them out.
Yeah.
Right?
It is without question the best looking destruction that we've ever seen in a Battlefield game.
Yeah.
And the devs did actually talk a little bit about, it might have been during one of their presentation Q&As that they did, where they talked about like, hey, we're trying to find a balance between Bad Company and like, BF3 or whatever, where there's inherent gameplay problems to just being able to destroy everything, which Bad Company 2 showed us. And then when there isn't enough destruction, the world feels a little too fake. So they're trying to find that sweet spot. So I totally see that in the design. And at the end of the day, we have to remember that it's still a game that has to have pacing and flow, and we can't just rip it apart at the seams and be like, oh, isn't it sick that we can level an entire city block? And you're like, okay, well, now we're just fighting in the ruins, it's
in ruins, right?
It's like a Siege of Shanghai. The Levolution event was super cool, and everybody's like, that's awesome. And then the aftermath of the destruction was a pretty crappy map, in my opinion. Right? Yeah. Like, oh, super cool event. Now you get to play on one of the lesser maps in the game. And you're like, oh, well, dang it.
And I was experiencing that when I was playing. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna start shooting RPGs at walls, and I was like, oh, that one's not destructible, but the one directly adjacent to it is. And I think that's why it also kind of felt chaotic. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to shoot to be able to get the desired effect that I'm looking for. They did call it tactical destruction, where it will, if you hit this same spot or around the same spot, it will destroy the building the same way every time.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be as dynamic as something like Siege, maybe, where you can just punch like a small hole in the wall, which is a little bit of a letdown, but I also understand why
It
they
would be
do
too
that.
insane.
It would be insane. It would be absolutely insane. It would be incredible if you could just like sledge open a small hole and then peek over and take people out, right? Instead of like the entire wall going down. But I get why they went this direction, because it would be way too intensive.
So did you see what people were doing on the we got to play a map on New York, and I thought it was going to be this big giant sprawling map. It was not.
Very infantry focused.
Yeah, I don't
felt
think
like a large scale Zeba Towers from Battlefield 3.
Yeah, kind of, right? With some kind of open street areas, but it was so tight that, and so vertical that it was so chaotic. And moving into the buildings, I noticed players were blowing out floors in these buildings, and they would have incredible sightline things where I'm like clearing corners and stuff and then die and go, huh? Who killed me? Oh, 3 floors up. They broke 2 holes down, floors through. And
now that's kind of cool.
It is cool. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if Rainbow Six Siege level destruction, which obviously is not quite that, but like the angles basically are going to get crazy. There's going to be a lot of map knowledge and a lot of map learning in some of those tight knit levels to try and control your angles, because
definitely.
Yeah, I was just getting some crazy chaotic gameplay in there once people started to figure out that you could just blow open floors and everything, and they're like, oh, okay, so now I can just cheese like this entrance, or everybody's going to run in this entrance and not know that I'm looking at them from like 3 floors up and can just take them out.
Yeah. That was actually the thing I got a little giddy about when they first showed off the sledgehammer in the trailer. I'm like, first of all, that's just Siege. Like, let's be real. And I have a little bit of a background with Siege. I did love it back in the day.
Yeah.
And when the initial trailer came out for Siege, they showed being able to open up actually the floors, but they removed that functionality because they realized it'd be so like busted and overpowered for the game, because that game's, 5v5. So to see that you can do that now in Battlefield and actually break open the building's floor and then jump down, I think is awesome. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see all the different nuanced takes and different ways to be able to move around the map. Yeah, it's exciting.
Such a tease to show us the sledgehammer in the trailer and then not let us use it in the demo.
Yeah.
So the soldiers even had the sledgehammers on the back of their persons while they're running around. But they couldn't use them yet. So they had just turned off certain gadgets that we didn't have access to yet. And I was very much looking forward to that. So they're class-wise, that was one of the things I was looking forward to getting to grips with the most. But they turned off some of our progression trees. So you didn't get multiple choices with how you wanted to play your classes yet, which is planned for the game, but we didn't have access to it yet. Right. The classes are similar, but different.
They're okay.
Yeah. Why don't we just talk about weapons? Like, how do you feel about locked weapons, meaning that sniper gets sniper rifles and nobody else gets sniper rifles? Support gets machine gun, nobody else gets machine gun. How do you feel about... Because what we played was open. We didn't play closed weapon system at all the entire time we were there, so we weren't able to compare it other than referencing past games that we've played. How did you feel about how the weapons worked into the class balance?
I honestly, after playing it, understand why DICE wants it to be open, because it was fun to be able to play as a recon or an assault with an SMG. I genuinely enjoyed that. But also, after playing, I was like, it's not really enhancing it that much more, to the point where I'm like, this is required. I would be happy either way at this point. I think what they're doing is fine, but also I'm a bit of a sucker for the past Battlefields and having each class feel more distinctive. So I think I'm still leaning towards having the weapons locked for sure.
Yeah, as am I. And I think, like, especially with recon, you don't want to be completely locked into a bolt action rifle because you want a good way.
Well,
What?
They did say that when we can test this on the beta, carbines, DMRs, and shotguns will be available for all classes, just like Battlefield 4, I believe. So they are doing universal weapons if they do the locked route.
Right. I actually wasn't particularly happy with their solution to, hey, you get locked and unlocked. And it's like, no, the game is designed around unlocked, and now you can have a mod or a modded playlist that does
I see what you're
locked.
saying, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not really both. It's sort of,
Well, I mean, they said they were going to test it, and they're going to give people the chance to give their feedback for the beta. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, fair enough. I think BF4 got the closest to the system that I would ultimately like, which is like we lock into certain classes, but then you've got those universal weapons, carbines, DMR, shotguns, which I think is a decent solution. You know, I might even like say maybe carbines are for engineer and SMGs are universal or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
But you need a way to make the classes like the recon more functional on really tight knit maps where a bolt action just isn't going to cut it. And so as long as they come up with a solution for that, I would rather have locked weapons because it does make the classes just feel more unique and more purpose built. And, I did find myself switching classes, but it was purely for gadgets and
which is what they want.
But I didn't like it as much, you know, because sometimes I go, if I want to snipe, I want to be relegated to sniper related gadgets. I don't want to have a crate that can give out ammo and meds and snipe, especially when the sniper perk is you can hold your breath longer or some crap like that. You're like, I don't care about that at all. Like I rarely even use that while I'm sniping just in general. So it's not really a perk that matters to me for choosing
the headshot. The headshot perk was pretty good though. Not being able to revive after you get headshotted.
True. That is a cool
one. That was
one.
pretty strong.
Yeah. So if you didn't catch it in the footage, basically as you rank up the current sniper perk tree, and I guess each class is going to have 2 perk trees, or rather the recon perk tree, you'll get one. I think maybe it's level 2 or level 3. I can't remember which it is, but if you unlock level 2 or level 3 with the recon and you kill somebody with a headshot from a bolt action rifle, they are unrevivable, which is super cool. People have suggested this as a perk for a long time in Battlefield, or a way to balance the game or come up with some cool different mechanics. And so they actually put it in, which is awesome. It's tied into a little bit of a progression tree. I don't know how I feel about those progression trees in general. They were very hard to recognize when you were leveling up. And I think part of that was because the UI was really minimal. They didn't have a good sound cue or anything.
I think David Serlander, there was a dev that basically admitted, like, we understand that this is not relaying the information well enough to the players, and we're going to be tightening that up. So hopefully that'll be addressed, and it'll be much more obvious that you've leveled up and you know what you've unlocked and what you can use from it.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's not new. It's very similar to what they've done in prior games. And it feels about as exciting as it was in prior games also, if that makes sense. And that it's not exciting. It's like, it's just this extra little thing that's happening while you're playing. And you're like, oh, I guess I have this ability now. But it's not really factoring in a big way to the way that I make choices or play the game. I'm not like, haha, I have the one shot. I have the no revive headshot perk now. That will change how I decide to play. Is like, I was always going to aim for headshots anyway to get the kills. So there's not things it didn't seem to unlock ways of playing the game or change up my gameplay or make me want to
it
really
just makes you more effective
level.
at your job, essentially.
To
further refine the role of that character. Engineer got a faster reload on their RPGs, which is like, that's great. Like you said, isn't going to change the way I play at all. It's just I'm now more lethal against vehicles.
I guess it rewards you for playing the same, sticking with a single class, so you can rank it up.
I think what's going to matter is that right now during that beta, we only had the one option. Once we have 2 options, so maybe the engineer will have the I use RPG. I'm all about taking out tanks, and the other one is more about maybe be more like a support player for vehicles. Maybe you repair faster. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
That might be a further way to refine it, and then you're going to feel more like it's contributing to that play style that you're after.
Yeah, and so you make the choice in match which one you go for.
Between the two. Right.
Assuming that's how it's designed. I don't know if you have to pick before or after the match. Or
I think you can swap. I don't know if that would reset your progress and you start over at 1. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm still just kind of feeling towards it. It just generally feels unnecessary. It's like they're trying to think of some extra things to do.
It's complicating things for sure.
Yeah. 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 Anyway.
I don't hate it though. Like, I know there was a lot of discussion around people being like, oh, this will make the classes or it'll make the game worse. The game was still very fun with this system, and I didn't feel like it made it like awful, right? Like I wasn't like, oh no, this would have been so much better if we had classes or weapon locked, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's not really a downgrade. It's just sort of this little busy thing on the side that I don't think is going to factor into very many people's decision making while they're playing as much as maybe the devs would want it to, you know?
Yeah. We'll see what they can do to the UI and the UX for relaying that information.
Yeah.
What did you think about the recent announcement that the spawn beacon, now called the deploy beacon, is going to be moved to the assault class?
Yeah, that's interesting. On one hand, if you want an aggressive spawn beacon, it was always hard for the recon class to like push up on the front line. You'd have to use a different primary weapon, and so then your spawn beacons would be more in the backfield, but that was also kind of nice as having the spawn beacons in the backfield where you make it close to an objective, place the spawn beacon down, and now you still have to run the last 100 feet to get in there.
But it's way better than the normal default spawn if everyone's gotten wiped out.
I don't know how I don't immediately like the idea of it. The assault class, because they've given the support both reviving and rearming as its ability, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think it's like
pretty powerful.
It's 2042 all over again. 2042 broke the meta, essentially, where they're like, hey, you can be a sniper that heals itself and rearms itself. So now you can shoot as much as you possibly want, shoot as liberally as you care to, and if you take a body shot from another sniper, get behind a wall and just heal up to full health again, so that you're guaranteed a headshot, which I thought kind of broke some of that gameplay and made it crummy. So they're offering that again with unlocked weapons and one class getting health and ammo. So I think that's a bit of a mistake. But assault, because it's losing defibs and healing, it seems like they don't quite know what to do with it.
I felt like assault was the weakest option out of the bunch in terms of its class identity and giving me a reason to want to play as assault compared to the other classes, because you get that like stim injection that makes you more resilient to explosives a little bit. I think you run slightly faster, you hear footsteps a bit further or more clear, and you are resistant to like flashbangs more. And it's like, that's fine. Like, you pop that, run to the building that you're trying to get to, hopefully not die in the process, and you're the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
But there didn't really feel like there was a gadget that was like getting you or like assisting you in that process, other than a little bit of stat bonuses. So I do like the idea of them being the front line and putting down beacons where it's like, hey, I was able to get into this building, place down this beacon. And then they are actually kind of the tip of the spear, right? They're the ones that are establishing that front line. So I like it in theory. We'll see how it plays.
Yeah, it's a good point. It seems like them making a few Band-Aid fixes to try and solve the problem of the assault. But it was worse in BF3 when everybody played assault, when it was an incredibly lopsided class selection.
Well, everyone played it because the weapons and the gadgets were just insane.
Yeah. You got the best weapons in the game, and you got to heal everybody, yourself and everybody around you, and revive players. And you're like, okay, so unless we see a vehicle, it's the best class in the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was worse. So this is better than that balance. I don't know if it's perfect. It kind of goes against the grain, but I'm happy to try it out. I'm glad that they're experimenting with stuff, but it did, like you said, it seemed like they just like there wasn't much of a reason to play the assault unless you really wanted 2 primary weapons, which honestly is not that great of a perk.
Some people are like, it's overpowered. I'm like, is it overpowered? Because I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can already
having
run with
2
the
options,
assault rifle. So yeah.
Well, let's just say hypothetically, right? You come across a combat encounter that's at long range, and you have a long range weapon. Cool, you're now effective at long range, and then you get up close, you switch to your close range weapon, but you're still only using 1 weapon. You're Sylvester Stallone, over here rattling off shots with your 2 primary weapons, right? Like it's still only 1.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't have changed anything if you were just using your 1 weapon. If you only had 1 weapon in the appropriate engagement, right? So it's not like it's that big of a deal, in my opinion. It's not like this thing that's going to make me play as the assault that I'm like this,
It makes you more flexible, which I think maybe we'll see the benefits of that more on some of the big maps, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We're playing a lot of close quarter maps where you're like, assault rifle is going to kind of cut it for just about every single firefight.
Yep, that's a very good point.
But then, if we get over to Operation Firestorm and you're like, boy, it'd be nice if I had a DMR to hit that guy at 300 meters right now. Well, now the assault gets that. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot of DMR usage actually because of that. So it could be cool. It could be cool for those bigger maps. But again, it's not super well thought out for all of the map layout. And I don't love the idea of having to like constantly kit bash a class to make it work for a map, but maybe it'll be interesting to like have 3 different loadouts for an assault that I'm constantly switching between depending on what map I play for the assault or something.
We also didn't have all the gadgets, and that could also play a role for why assault didn't feel as strong.
We didn't get those cool assault ladders, man. Who gets the assault ladder?
We didn't get the ladders. We didn't get the sledgehammer, and I think that's going to be for the assault kit too. So we'll see. I'm glad that the assault class doesn't feel like it's you got to play it if you want to do well. I think that's actually a good thing.
Sure.
But yeah.
I found myself playing support most of the time because I liked being able to heal, rearm, and I could pick any single weapon I wanted, essentially. So
that was great.
I'll snipe right now as support, or I'll play with an assault rifle as support. Like, it doesn't matter. So I use that probably most of the time. I did enjoy engineer. Rockets feel good. Killing tanks feels really satisfying.
Really good.
Yeah.
Getting behind a tank and hitting him in the butt and then doing like 70% of its HP and then hitting the side again it's satisfying.
Yeah, and you took out a chopper, I think. I think we all probably hit a chopper once or twice.
And it one-shotted it too. None of this nonsense getting a hit marker like they do in some battlefields where I'm like, what are you doing, DICE?
Yeah.
If they get hit with an RPG, they die. Please.
Yeah. If you're flying low enough and predictably enough to get hit with a dumb fire weapon like rocket, that, right. Like you're dead. Yeah. That's how it works. Unless you're playing Battlefield 2 and you have the Blackhawks and like 3 people.
Blackhawks are a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm okay with a transport. I'm okay with that, but attack helicopter, nah.
Yeah.
Little Bird, absolutely not.
Yeah. We didn't get to, we only had the attack helicopter in the demo, and there was a jet. I did get to fly the helicopter. Felt all right. There was a little discussion at the event about it being a little cumbersome, a little clunky.
Yeah.
Hard to weigh in on it because my flight time with it was so limited. First time flying, really awkward. Second time getting a little more comfortable, and then like that's it. That's all I had.
It didn't help that there was only one map that had it, and we were able to play on that map for maybe over an hour between. Well, probably more, like 2 hours between the 2 days, because we were constantly switching between the other maps and modes. That was the one thing I was probably disappointed by most, is we just did not have more time on larger maps and vehicle centric maps.
Yeah, they did the thing which, I mean, they've done this at other game stuff, but it's definitely happened at Battlefield showcases before, where they're like, here's our mega Battlefield game with 64 players on giant maps and tons of destruction. Now spend 2 hours playing team deathmatch on a tiny little map with like 16 players. And you're like, why did we spend so much of the time playing these tiny modes? Once again, thank you to DICE and EA for inviting me to the event and all that stuff. But this is feedback for you guys if you're listening. It's like
they had
there's
like
just
I said
so much time.
At the start.
Yeah.
It depended on who you were talking to, because I know the Call of Duty players were vibing with the smaller modes more, and there was a bunch of COD players there. They're casting a wide net. They want to bring in as many people to this game, and I think it's okay to have smaller modes. It's okay to accommodate those players.
It's fine. It was just really like the first day we played for 4 hours, and we played Conquest for all of 30 minutes or something. Like it was
more. It was a little bit more than 30 minutes, but I agree. It was way shorter than it should have been.
Super short. And then when I was talking, so I guess your room, we were in different rooms while we were playing. I heard the UK guys were like, they just refused to switch over and they just kept playing Conquest.
They just played Conquest. I was disappointed when I didn't think of that myself.
Yeah, so we didn't have that in our room either. And I was like, oh, we could have just forced it. We could have just populated the Conquest server and not done what they told us to do. But yeah, we went like TDM, domination, some other small game mode, and it was just hours of running through these tiny little TDM maps, which it's not really the main focus. I felt like
they were too chaotic for my taste and my preference.
Mm-hmm.
The maps work really, like Siege of Cairo works really well on Conquest, but and especially Breakthrough too. I really liked Breakthrough a lot.
Yes, Breakthrough was great.
Yeah, but you know where the enemy's going to be, and there's only so many ways that they can, like, they're in front of you, right? You're going towards an objective. You know the enemy's probably going to be somewhere between you and that objective. But in domination or squad deathmatch, they're going to be everywhere, and so I just constantly felt like I was never able to establish a nice front line for myself and get my feet underneath me, which is what happens in Call of Duty, right? All the time. The spawns are all over the place. But that's one of the reasons why I've always liked Battlefield, is I feel like I can get more control over my surroundings, and I never really felt that control at all for the smaller modes. And
absolutely.
And even though I love the map, the smaller modes didn't have that.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, that is also one of the things that attracts me to Battlefield, is my ability to control an engagement and make tactical decisions that are ultimately going to determine whether or not I win or lose an engagement.
Right.
Am I going to back out of this angle and try and flank around right? Is that the right decision? Did I give away? Was I being too predictable? Did the guy ambush me? Is it my fault? Domination, these small maps. I mean, you're playing and I was literally watching guys spawn on dudes that I'm shooting at and then kill me. And it's just...
That felt like an oversight. I don't think it's going to be like that when it launches.
Yeah.
The spawns were instantaneous.
Yeah.
Like it was dumb.
And just chaotic. And so... Yeah, you're playing, and so the way you control domination, because I've played enough of domination on whether it's Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever, is you just start to memorize the spawn spots, and you start to figure out the spawn logic, where you're like, well, on this proximity, they're not going to spawn at any of the spots around me. They're instead going to spawn at the further away spots. So you have this idea on where people are going to spawn, but it just comes down to memorizing the spawn spots. And I don't like that as a gameplay mechanic. Yeah. It's not interesting to me. And it just turns into an arena shooter where you know the paths to get to all the best weapons. And then you just repeat your paths, and that becomes part of your gameplay strategy. Is like, I get to the good stuff faster than the other guy. And it's like, is that fun, or would you rather move around more methodically and win a firefight like a tactical badass, as opposed to just rushing for the best gear every time?
Yeah, I agree. Completely.
Yeah. So yeah, we played it. It was fine. I think it was better than Call of Duty TDM. At that point, you're just kind of apples or it's whatever.
Maybe a controversial take. I would have rather played, if I'm going to play a close quarter like style squad deathmatch or team deathmatch, I'd rather play Call of Duty. I like Call of Duty though. I'm not like one of those guys that are like Call of Duty bad. I think Call of Duty is basically popcorn. It's just fun. It does what it does well. Yeah.
That's cool.
It wasn't bad. It's just when you're trying to basically do what another game is doing because it's the best of the best at what it does, then yeah, of course, I think it's going to fall short a little bit.
I disagree, but only because I think the Battlefield less is more approach is the better way. Because COD is like, oh, I got my kill streak, whatever, and then you spawn in and die instantly to a bunch of bullcrap, which I hate. I think is like the worst plague on gaming ever.
Maybe it's my mindset because when I play Call of Duty, I know what I'm getting myself into. When I play Battlefield, I'm looking for what we were just talking about, conquest and breakthrough.
Yeah.
And so then when I switch to something that's not that, I'm like, this is not what I'm here for.
Totally
This is not
fair.
why I'm here.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I feel that way. But
Well, let's talk about breakthrough. One of the other modes that Battlefield's pretty well known for, rush, breakthrough, whatever you want to call it. They've had their attack and defend game mode for quite a while now. Maybe BF3. When did it start? No, Bad Company definitely had it, but they had rush. And I thought it played so Cairo, Siege of Cairo. It played incredibly well in my opinion.
yeah, it's good. It's definitely good.
It felt like a legitimate military siege of a city where you're working with your armored vehicles as best as possible, trying to get them to like flush out the enemies. You're hugging the edges of streets along the buildings. You're getting shot from second story windows, lower story. Like there's rockets, RPGs hitting stuff, smoke's going everywhere. You're using it to push up whenever there's a big smoke cloud or debris. You're like, all right, go now, go. It was intense. It was really fun. It was challenging. We had clutch moments where you're like, oh, we're out of tickets. And then it went into death match because we're like, we're halfway through capping a point. You're like, are we going to get it? And the teams are throwing their guys on the point. It was fun, man. I thought it played really, really well for breakthrough.
I agree. Enough choke points to make for fun moments where you're going to have some intense firefights, but not so many that it feels like you're just going to be able to get flanks every 2 seconds, right? So
yeah,
the map flowed really well for breakthrough. I agree for sure.
Yeah. You had enough options to be like, okay, well, they're clearly focused on this flank. Either I can try and somehow kill 10 guys and break through, or I'll move around to this other point. And then you're like, okay, there's a few guys there, but now it's a more winnable situation.
Literally had that moment where I switched specifically to the recon class so I could put down a beacon that was on like the northern side, took out a couple of guys with my squad, put down the beacon, then we had a different front. We literally moved the front of the battlefield on that side forward, and it was great. It felt really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with the spawn beacon stuff. We had a few moments where it was just like a really clutch spawn beacon let us continue our push on this one front until we like broke through, and then we got it, and we moved the spawn beacon up, and we took some buildings and managed to hold the point long enough for the rest of the team to get in and finish the cap with us. And it felt like Battlefield was playing exactly how it should in that circumstance. And it was just like a really fun, rewarding. It did remind me of Strike at Karkand to a degree, because Karkand is a long linear map. And if you play in the rush game mode, it's about pushing up. It's got like multiple lanes and ways to flank around. And you really got to like make your claim to a route and push through and break through. And if one of those lanes breaks down, you can come around and flank the other ones. And like, it was just playing the way that I like Rush to play or Breakthrough to play, and it was just nice. You're like, dang, this is clicking right now. Like everything's clicking. I'm on comms with the squad. We're yelling out orders, calling out targets, and like, give me a revive.
They're over there. They're over there. They're over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was with Drewski and Karmika, who are like the Milsim gamers, and their callouts were like insanely specific and quick and accurate. And I was like, okay. And then
2 clicks left of the broken down vehicle on the road adjacent to the red building.
Yeah. No, I gotta get their little their vocabulary down for their callouts. They're like, tight right, close left, like all this stuff, and I was like, okay, I know where they are now. We were definitely the loudest squad in our room. Just
not surprised.
Yeah, a bunch of
press you were supposed to be your room was non-streamers, even though there were streamers there, and because there was no cameras and stuff, and so I think that was meant to be a little bit more quiet for just like regular VOD.
Yeah,
and then you had you guys, which is cool, right?
Yeah. It was funny because I think I was filling out the form for signing up for the event, and there was like a thing where it's like, do you want a webcam for the stream? And I was like, I don't feel like trying to set all that stuff up on like an OBS on a different computer. Like, I'll just keep it simple. And I figured a lot of people might want to just see the raw footage instead of my face over the mini map or whatever. So I didn't realize that was going to put me in a different room. And at first I was like, oh man, I'm not in the big room with all the cool guys or whatever. And then I saw what you guys were in. I was like, oh, that's chaos. Like there's people it was a double story room, and the guys on the second story, which was like a built-in scaffolding that they just built for the event with stairs and stuff. The whole thing was rocking.
Wobbled.
Yeah. And so some of the guys, one of the dudes there took Dramamine. I think Devil Dog Gamer took Dramamine so he wouldn't get
motion sickness
from the wobbling of the platform. And then one of the community managers who I was sort of like, oh, I'm not in this room. I thought I was going to be in that room. They're like, yeah, let me see what I can do. And then they're like, hey, somebody wants to switch. Do you want to switch with them? And I was like, you know what? On second thought, I'll take the room with tables that have 4 legs planted on a solid concrete floor. I'll game there. Yeah, it was a cool event. It was fun. Well, I think what made it hard to judge the game to a degree is that we're playing against, Tim the Tap Man and like all these people who game 7 days a week, and are just like they're professional gamers, right? They might not be competitive gamers, but they're gaming.
Like pro gamers,
yeah. It was a sweaty lobby. We'll just put it that way.
There was some sweat to be had.
Yeah. There's some sweat. So it did make judging the flow of what a typical Battlefield round might be like a little trickier when you got pro snipers dropping you every time you peek out from around a corner or something. You're like, is this game like, are those guns OP, or am I just up against like world's best snipers?
Cracked out individuals.
Yeah, over there. So I kept that in the back of my mind the whole time playing if I ever spawned and got dunked on like 3 times in a row or something. It was like, what's happening?
What's funny is how quickly content creators found the meta weapon and then abused the meta weapon while complaining about the meta weapon.
Yeah.
I love that dynamic where they're like, man, the shotgun's overpowered. I hate going against the shotgun, and then proceeds to use the shotgun, which just compounds the issue. Yeah. It's like, just stop using it then. Be the change you want to see in the world. Why are you using it yourself?
I remember
it was nuts.
I used it for a few rounds, got my clips, had my fun. One of my clips went viral. I don't know if you saw it on Reddit, but
no.
I shot a dude with the pump action, and their body got launched through a window of a building and like just went flying out the window. It looked like a scene out of a 90s action film or something. And people were like, this is sick, And
it is. I like the ragdolls.
Yeah. The shotgun feels great. It's very fun to use. It is overpowered. The devs know it's overpowered. People need to stop freaking out about weapon balance 2 months prior to launch. Obviously this stuff is going to get looked at. Yeah, so I swore off the shotgun after that, and then I played a few rounds where some guys were just abusing the crap out of it, and then I got angry and was like, well, that's it. I'm getting the shotgun
Let's
now.
Go then, baby.
Let's do this, and so my competitive nature kicked in, and I was like, I'm not going to let these guys just beat me because they're using the shotgun. Screw that. Yeah. So the shotgun got a lot of use for me, for sure. Granted, there weren't that many guns, so you're swapping.
There wasn't. No,
you're switching.
It was okay. I wasn't blaming you. I did find it kind of funny how content creators will find the meta and then they'll use it because of course they will. Yeah. They want to do well.
Well, I mean, bro, I was squad wiping with that thing. It was brutal.
It was nuts. Yeah, it was crazy. It was really powerful.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the movement?
I thought it was fine. The only thing, so I didn't mess with the controls too much, but I did not like the double tap to slide stuff.
You can change that to a different key if you want.
You can. Okay. So I'll just change that. That was my only thing is sliding felt a little annoying at times. And there was definitely a few times where Battlefield's always had this problem where soldier hitboxes while they're entering different animations get a little janky. So players do the delf and dive, the slide thing, the whatever. There was a few times where I shot a dude like center mass, even with like a shotgun or like a full spray of an assault rifle. as they were going into a slide, and they somehow just like ate it and then killed me, and it didn't feel quite right. But overall, the movement felt pretty darn good. I think sliding could use a little bit of work in terms of how far you are able to slide and some of that stuff. And I don't want sliding to be a combat tactic. I would rather it be an escape tactic rather than a push tactic. And right now I think
that's actually a really great way of phrasing it. I don't want, I love that. I don't want it to be an aggressive tool. I want it to be used as a defensive tool. Yeah. That's good. I like that.
If you're trying to cross the street and a dude sees you and he opens fire and you're like, crap, I just got to make it behind this car, slide behind the car. Don't use it as a way to slide around a corner and shoot a dude in the face while you're sliding.
Right.
It's which you can right now, and I don't like that, and I want them to find a way to dial it back a little, not make it as useful there.
I heard people critiquing that the movement was too fast, and I disagree.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people saying it was like really quick, because I was showing off my gameplay after I got back on Twitch, and people like, the movement's too quick. I'm like, are you looking at what I'm looking at right now? Like, my soldier is just running out in the open for a good while. I'm not tact sprinting, There was multiple moments where I felt very vulnerable moving from cover to cover because you just don't feel fast. It's not quick. And while I completely agree with the whole, I don't want there to be slide jumping. I saw some of that. I saw some bunny hopping where someone literally just went boing, 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 and then shot a guy while he was doing it. It looked terrible. I don't want that. But the actual movement of the characters when they're just sprinting and moving around and shooting felt fine. I didn't have any issues with that.
I thought it felt really good. There's also the thing where, and it's like a joke, but you can just change the FOV and it changes your perspective of how fast you're moving. Yep. And not a lot of people are aware of that. So they see if you go full, really wide FOV and start running, you look like you're sprinting.
It looks like you're traveling through space and time.
Yeah. So just changing the FOV can change your perception of how fast you're moving, but I would be willing to bet that the player movement is like near identical as past Battlefield games. DICE has been pretty consistent with keeping their player movement like within 5 to 10% of what it's always been. And I would imagine it hasn't changed much for this game either. So
it actually felt slower than Battlefield 4. Because I recently went back and played Battlefield 4, and I was actually kind of surprised by how fast my character was. It wasn't quick, but it wasn't blazing fast.
Yeah.
So I didn't have. BF4
had a lot of big open environments where you had to like cross a street for like 50 feet, and you're like, okay, well, I better be able to move quick. Their map design, like I want to say, it feels like it's going back to BF3, in which they had more laney style maps, where things were more clearly broken into, like you could go left, right, middle, branch over in the connectors, whatever. Which is a classic way of designing maps. And I think there's a reason for it.
It's not 3 lanes for people that are wondering. It's not like a Call of Duty 3 lane, but it is laney.
Yeah. Where lanes are a little bit more defined in the sense that a level designer probably thought about where they wanted people to go. And thought about where they wanted choke points to be and where they wanted sniper overwatches to be effective and that kind of stuff. And that's what I like. I like it when there's a lot more thought that goes into the specific paths that they want people to go and use in a map. And the maps felt more orchestrated and designed around that this time. And that was always one of my biggest critiques of BF4, is like, it just felt like they were just like, I don't know, put some buildings here. And like, they had huge open spaces and nothing. It felt less tactical because of that, because it was like a real game, but you didn't have the tactical tools to cross certain areas. So you're just like, just run for it, guys. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. We'll see what happens when we get some bigger maps. Hopefully there's bigger maps. Please, DICE, please.
So they have Firestorm, which is a pretty big map.
It's a bigger map. Yeah.
And I looked
classic
at the
conquest map.
I looked at the footage pretty closely, and compared it to, there was a couple of side-by-sides people posted from Reddit of like classic Firestorm versus versus BF6 Firestorm. And it looks like they did add in quite a bit of kind of stuff to make sure that there's enough cover for people to move around and get around. So I'm very curious to play it. I'm excited about it. I think they're bringing in a lot more ways to move around as infantry and not just be at the mercy of, boy, I hope there isn't a tank watching this road right now.
And there is, and you're dead.
Yeah, which was certainly a big Firestorm experience. If you're caught out in the open in the desert and a tank sees you, you're just like, oh, bunny hopping around like, please, dice, why?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is classic, but also it seems like they're thinking about a lot of other stuff. The screenshots of the other maps, so there's 9 maps in total. One of them had like a really cool looking trench warfare system set up, which looks dope.
I saw that too.
I think you get a clip of the trench in one of the trailers. And yeah, that made me excited because I mean, trench warfare is cool, man. It doesn't just have to be in
World War I or II.
Yeah, exactly. We can have it in modern games, and so seeing that come back looked really cool. I want to see what the bigger New York Conquest map is, because there's 2.
Is it going to be bigger?
Yeah, that's what I heard. So there's 2 maps.
I just figured it was going to be a infantry focused conquest map, and that was it.
No, I think there's vehicles on the bigger one.
Because I have they have maps here.
Yeah. Oh,
I can read them to you.
Yeah, let's see what you got. So yeah,
there's Siege of Cairo, Empire State, which is we didn't play the conquest version of that.
Yeah, we did.
Iberian, we didn't play. We did.
Yes.
Oh, we did. Yes. No, we did. Yeah. So there's Empire State. Iberian Offensive, which we did not play. That was the conquest or the squad deathmatch one.
Yes.
Right. Liberation Peak, which we did, and then all the rest are there's Saints Quarters, Manhattan Bridge might be what you're thinking of.
Yeah, probably.
So Manhattan Bridge, I think, is just a brand new map. It's not the okay.
That's what I just mean when I say New York. It takes place in New York, but it's a different map.
Okay, I assumed you were saying Empire State map was going to be larger. There's going to be a bigger version of it. Okay.
Yeah. So Empire State is one map. Then there's another New York-based map. That I think is going to have vehicles and be bigger. So I'm really excited.
Then I agree.
That.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Yeah. The lineup does look like it's a little tighter in terms of like map sizes and stuff. So hopefully we get a good balance in there. And
I was also, because I don't think 9 maps is necessarily a small amount, but it's 8 new maps with 1 old map, right? Which is fine. But the thing that gives me hope, and it could just be copium because I feel like I'm getting flashbacks to 2042, is Portal.
Yeah, right. Good way to bring that up. I wanted to talk about it, but I always forget about it. Portal looks really powerful. Like,
I hesitate to hype it too much, but it has the potential to literally give infinite content in terms of just fun game modes, goofy stuff, but also a level editor, hopefully, that allows people to be like, oh, yeah, we don't have a lot of maps. We'll just make our own. Either remasters and remakes of old maps or our own maps. Just straight up our own maps. Also, a cool fun fact about that level editor, as was pointed out by many people on the internet right after seeing the live stream, it's Godot. Godot is a game engine that is free to use. And DICE was like, why don't we just use Godot as a tool for people to build maps in our Portal system? And it's kind of brilliant. It's awesome. Everybody in the game dev world is very excited about that because Godot is sort of like the little engine that could. They want it to grow and be adopted by major studios. And seeing DICE, with a $400 million budget being like, here's a Godot being used as a tool, is very excited for everybody. But it also means it's probably going to be extremely powerful. What they haven't shown, and I really wish they did, is will you get a blank canvas? Will you be able just to literally make your own map from scratch, changing the terrain? Can you build mountains? Can you build valleys? Because if it's just moving assets around inside of existing maps, then that will obviously limit things significantly, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't get a blank canvas, then this is not going to be as exciting as I was originally hoping it would be. But we'll see.
It's almost certainly it is not the developer tools for making a map, right?
Right.
The devs have got some probably pretty swanky tools in the Frostbite engine for placing and adjusting stuff. And then this is like, hey, you want to move some assets around and do some goofy stuff? You can do it in our clunky Godot tools.
Yeah.
I hope it's powerful, and I do hope that we can make maps from the ground up and not just like put stuff on top of pre-existing maps. Hard to know. I think it's cool that they're continuing with this tech. My concern, and I was chatting with people at the event about this, is that I don't think Battlefield is necessarily the right venue for this kind of tool per se. Mm-hmm. It sort of feels like they're giving us Roblox tools in a game
in a way, yeah,
where people don't want that. They want a more crafted experience. They want a competitive, casual competitive crafted experience, and not this roller coaster, Tim's roller coaster map or some crap like that,
Well, we heard a long time ago from EA, I think, that they want DICE's Battlefield to be you don't switch to a different game, you just switch to a different mode kind of experience.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I want Conquest. Now I want more squad focus. I want larger maps. Especially if they want to reach 100 million players. Having a place where you can literally make your own content and experience other players' content, they want it to be more of a platform.
Yeah.
And this lines up with that philosophy, I feel.
I think, what would you think about if, so for the paying customer, I think the paying customer wants Conquest and Breakthrough and their classic Battlefield experience, predominantly.
Yeah, I would agree.
What do you think about Portal being a potentially free experience?
Free experience?
Yeah.
That would be pretty wild, because that was the thing that really limited 2042.
Yeah.
Well, not the only thing, but there wasn't enough players. There wasn't enough things going on.
And that's kind of where, like, Roblox is free. That's why it's massive. Fortnite with the Unreal Engine Fortnite experiences, that's free. Yep. I don't think these build your own levels and mode things work super well outside of a free platform. Halo Forge, now free in the free game, right? I think. I'm not that up on Forge.
I'm not sure
and stuff, but
I'd have to take your word.
Halo multiplayer is free, and I believe it has Forge for it, right? Currently.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a life for Battlefield Portal if there's a paywall in front of it. And
possible.
EA has screwed the pooch on the paywall situation with Firestorm before. I think that game would have had legs if it didn't have a paywall in front of it. And so I just think maybe that's what they're doing here, unless it is free. I don't know for sure if it isn't free, actually. I just assumed it's not free, because otherwise they would have been like, and it's free.
I'm assuming it won't be free too.
Yeah, that would have been a big announcement. They would have been like, it's free. You can play all the crazy modes for free.
I think this has the potential to be one of the biggest things that comes out of it, but only if you can actually have a blank canvas and make your own maps. If it's just funny game modes, that's cool and all, but so fingers crossed it's going to be larger than what we got before, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if you look at what happened to Portal in 2042, it just more or less turned into the Milsim creator for Battlefield. They just went, okay, well, let's turn off all your mini map, and we're going to make it like super high damage so people die in one shot to bolt actions, and we're going to do Milsim versions of World War II or whatever.
It didn't help that there wasn't the player base to sustain it. There wasn't enough people to make modes, and there wasn't the player base to populate those modes. You need both, and they weren't anywhere close to that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope they have a backup plan or a potential to make it go free at some point, rather than just like let it die behind a paywall, which is what happened with Firestorm once they realized that they didn't have the player base to sustain it.
Speaking of Firestorm.
Yeah. It's back, baby. And not the map, but the game, well, both are back, really, which is not confusing in the slightest. I had that.
Yeah, Operation Firestorm and Firestorm, the game mode. Yeah.
I had that brain fart at the event where I was talking to David Serland, and I was like, Firestorm, wait, not the map. Wait, is the game mode called the map? Is the map in the game? And he's like, it's the same name. I was like, oh, so now you have a mode, which they haven't officially announced Firestorm as a mode, but they showed a Firestorm.
Yeah. They may call it something different, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do, especially if there's a map that's literally called Firestorm.
Inferno, LA Fires. They're going to call it the LA Fires. The map takes place in like a California, LA area.
Yeah, but I don't know if they'd go that
route. oh, really, Matt? You don't think that would be a PR
I don't think they're going that route.
No. Yeah. It looks cool. The leaks on the mode suggest that the fire circle now kills instantly, as opposed to.
Wow, that'd be wild if true.
Yeah, I think it would speed up them. I kind of like the idea of it. Where think about how much bullshit time in PUBG is spent outside of the circle, where you're like trying to catch the circle.
I hear you, but also think of how many times you get stuck and you're trying to move around a building or something or an obstacle, and you're like, oh no, I can't run away from it, and I instantly die as soon as I hit the fringe of the circle.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty frustrating if that was true.
Yeah,
but maybe they just were like, no, get away from the edge.
Yeah,
this is not a edge camping circle game. You just got to get out of it. Right? It could work.
Right. That'll change up the dynamic. Now you're not going to try and thread the needle between the circle and a building. You're going to try and GTFO, or you'll really be watching that clock and like, we got to go, guys, 30 seconds and we're all toast.
But then you do have some battle royales where you are watching the clock. You just get a lucky or unlucky circle that's across the map, and you just don't have the tools to get there. And if you were just to instantly die, it would suck.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for it. I know, I'm a Battlefielder, so I'm not supposed to like battle royales for whatever reason. I don't know. The Battlefield community is so anti-royales.
What is with this purity test? I swear to God, I went on the Reddit, which was probably my mistake. There is this weird purity test that Battlefielders have where it's like, if there's anything that resembles any other video game, it's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Get that out of my Battlefield.
There's also a lot of dumb gatekeeping going on right now with people being like, I don't want these COD players in my Battlefield, and it's like
it ain't that complicated. You go, there's an objective, you go towards the objective. You're not like tactically as like there's guys, it's Battlefield. It's fun. It's one of my favorite franchises, but it ain't Arma or Squad. It's a fun sandbox game. You mess around with the boys,
It's the in between.
And it's a lovely in between.
Yeah. No, it's my favorite. It's my favorite balance of something that feels like real combat, and I don't have to learn a full size QWERTY keyboard to play it.
Right, or have super slow gameplay. Right, I don't.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not. I do not want it to be Call of Duty. I do not want it to be that. But I also, recognize that it's a casual, fun game.
Yeah.
All right. I know a bit of a tangent, but every time feels like this purity test. It's usually Battlefield players pitting themselves against Call of Duty players, and Call of Duty players are like, we're not even worried about you. Like we're just playing our game, right?
I know COD players are like, why are you guys upset that we want to play your game? Shouldn't you be? Yeah. Isn't this ultimately the goal to get the market of the
right?
Become the biggest shooter.
The goal without sacrificing what makes Battlefield. So I get why also, because they don't want DICE to screw up. DICE has been screwing up lately. I get that too.
Yeah.
I get why people are really on edge. But
yeah.
I feel like we can pump the brakes a little bit.
it's a little bit of misplaced outrage, whatever you want to call it, or gatekeeping, protecting is like I think when people are like, we don't want the COD players, is ultimately they say, we don't want this game to become so much like COD that it steals the COD player base, which, you could argue that there are a few things in this title that look a little more Call of Duty-y than before. So
do you have anything in mind in specifics?
Well, the big focus on a lot of those CQB modes, right? There's quite a few
fair
CQB modes, and we're like, the tightness of the maps, way denser. There doesn't seem to be quite as many big, sprawling open maps as before. Even if we're comparing it directly to BF3, it looks like these maps are much tighter. Almost every single person at the event sort of had that feedback or observation, rather, which was like, things feel a little tighter, a little faster than before, and that's more of a map design thing than anything. So that could be seen as catering more to the COD crowd, where Call of Duty players aren't used to these big wide open maps. Aside from
Battlefield
Warzone.
3 and Battlefield 4 players literally join 24/7 Metro and Locker like all day every day. So I find it a little ironic.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, map. The the container map was pretty popular. That wasn't Metro.
It's funny how that works out.
I know. Well, it's one of those unfortunate side effects, and I know, like, producers look at the stats and they don't understand the reason for a lot of stuff, where they go, people love Metro, and what's the container map?
Why do they love Metro?
Yeah.
No Shark Canals?
No Shark, and no Shark Canals. Why do they love these maps? Is it because they're so incredibly good and give you nonstop, really fun, rewarding action? Or is it because people are trying to unlock some freaking guns as fast as humanly possible? Like, why don't you do you have data for that? Because
some people just like to turn the brain off and play. They just want to shoot down a corridor, right? Doesn't mean they always want to just do that. They don't just want to do that forever.
Yeah. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of doing that, but it's definitely not a go-to experience that I'm like searching for. You know, I'm like, oh God, here we go. Operation Lockers again, you know. So hopefully they're not reading into all that data too closely.
Yeah, I'll play a Lockers and it'll go straight to Metro. I'm like, nope, I'm out. I had my fun. I enjoyed my time.
Yeah.
But that's enough. That's enough close quarters for now.
Lockers at least has some flanking in it. Metro is just like, good luck.
Yeah.
Let's see. What server browser thoughts on them? You saw the post from the dev
I want server browsers. There's some devs that have been talking, and the community, of course, jumps down their throat a bit when they even bring up the fact they're like, hey, we want you to have a conversation with us. And they're like, well, we don't want to have a conversation about things that we assume should be already evident, right? Yeah. So people are upset that the community manager is even asking about a server browser because it should be already known why people want server browsers.
Yeah.
Which I kind of understand, but at the same time, do you want a dialogue or do you not want dialogue?
Yeah.
I want a server browser. I think it keeps communities together. You can choose full servers. You can have long litany of things that will keep a community engaged long term. I think it's why Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 still have servers. It's because they have a community behind them, right?
So you'll have the browser for Portal, which is
Portal.
Portal is and Portal could be a vanilla Battlefield server still.
Literally.
Yeah,
literally.
So you can still have I bought and paid for this server. I make the rules, but I want to play classic Battlefield on it with my map rotation, and that's all I do. So that's still technically an option, but
I guess the only question is then why not just have regular servers? So have a matchmaking system that tries to put people, find a server just by clicking the button. Battlefield 5 does this. Literally, you can go quick match and you can hit, it will search for a server. Or you can go into the server list and just find a server that you want. Why not just have both functionalities?
So I guess then is, what if maybe you get banned from a server. So what a lot of servers do is they'll have a ban list that they share, and everybody who subscribes to the global or this really popular ban list, now respects any ban on that list. So say, Matt, you're having an epic round, you're sniping everybody. Badman comes in and is like, this guy killed me 4 times in a row. That shot was bullcrap. I saw the kill cam, blah, blah, blah. Bans you. Now you're banned from like 40 of the best servers in your region, that all subscribe to that ban list. And now you're matchmaking.
I mean, that can happen. Yeah.
That's what happened to me in like several of the old Battlefield games where it was like, my server availability went way down because I got on some ban lists, because some random badman didn't like me.
You.
Yeah. right? So
Yeah.
that is a danger. Obviously, it's a problem of it's not a problem that most players run into, but
Yeah,
it
I
is
wonder
an
how you
issue.
would manage that as EA and Dice, because you would still have in my eye, you would still have official servers. You would still have servers that are run by EA and Dice that don't have an admin, right? They're just getting loaded up when there's demand and they play out. And then you have also community servers, right, that are in tandem, all within the same list. You can filter by them and everything. That was kind of the idea that I was picturing in my mind. But yeah, if it was all just custom servers and people could ban each other, ban one guy, and now that guy can't play the game anymore because he pissed off an admin, like obviously that's a big issue. But
Yeah.
I see that as a smaller. I don't see that happen very often. It does happen, but I don't know if that means I don't want to have server browsers.
Yeah.
In the game.
I think people are scared because they haven't done a good job in the past, especially with 2042, which had a portal server browser and then the main menu for matchmaking.
Yeah.
It didn't do a good job of pushing people towards servers or promoting servers or showing them where to go and finding games easily that fit what they were looking for. It wasn't a good user experience for that. So I think their system could work if it had a much better, clearer user experience that was like matchmake into an official server and we'll just put you in a game versus play Matimio's 24/7, no shark canal, shotguns only. I know what you like.
It's the best server. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they had known that was an option, they would have clicked that instead of the standard game, obviously. But
Obviously.
a huge problem with putting the server browser behind the matchmaking system is that people aren't going to find these custom communities. And so I think it becomes less worthwhile to rent a server and set it up. So I think there's a big user experience issue there that has not gone over well in past games. And so I don't think people trust DICE to do a good job this time around. One thing that I would like to see is like, and I hope maybe it is in this game, because we didn't really get a good look at the matchmaking system. We were just clicking on an icon that was pre-set up for us to play. So
we don't know if there's skill-based matchmaking at all.
Yeah. Well, they confirmed that there was going to be some, but it's DICE's SBMM, which is very different from Call of Duty SBMM.
Call of Duty's, well, I mean, that we know of.
Yeah.
It could get mega sweaty. We don't know.
What I would like, though, is kind of like similar to what Counter-Strike does, where you can pick your map. So you can just say, match me into anything, or you can filter your matchmaking system and say, I just want to match into Dust 2. And when you click it, it'll give you an estimated wait time for Dust 2.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Like, that's what I want for Battlefield right now, because it's an absolute nightmare getting into a map or an experience that you want, especially with, like, say, 2042. You matchmake, you just click a button and you're going to land in any map. And some of those maps I really don't like. And, like, I just don't want to play them at all. So I would love for a matchmaking system that allowed me to cater what I join into more accurately, give me a good idea of player populations and join times and that kind of thing. I don't necessarily need to see that it's Bob's server playing whatever. Like, it would be cool if that system could then filter maybe into custom servers where you could check a box and said, put me in a custom server also, or maybe it's auto checked and you have to uncheck if you don't want to go in a custom server. There's a lot of things they could do to make the system work much better. And I hope those things are explored more, but I think their user experience for joining matches has been pretty lackluster. And there's been games that have been doing an excellent job of this for decades. And all they got to do is just look around and see what other people are doing. You know, you're like, hey, go steal somebody else's idea. I'm not asking you to reinvent the wheel. Just go do. Other people are doing it better. Go do it better. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So my take is I want server browsers to return. I want there to be a button you can just click for your average player, just to be like, I don't want to look. I just want to click a button, put me into a game for whatever mode I'm looking forward to. But if you want to just click one more time and scroll through a server, official, non-official, customs, whatever, I want that to be in the game.
Yeah. I agree. I'm fine with that. And I think both could be solved by a filter system, like where if you filtered a matchmaking system to say, put me in the browser that I want, or with a list of things, which they don't love lists on consoles, like it just doesn't work with their UI ideas. Yeah. So like, oh, lists, it'll look terrible, blah, blah, blah. We just need giant buttons on screen. I don't care. But yeah, I think something where you have a little more control over where you're playing, who you're playing with, potentially, that kind of stuff would be nice. I can't say this experience is going to be ruined for me one way or the other. I think I'll be fine for the most part.
As long as there's large enough player base, it'll be fine.
Yeah, fair enough. And and the community has a very good point in saying that the sustainability of a lot of these games over a long period of time has absolutely been due to the community making good servers, regulating those servers, and making map rotations and modes that players want to play the most,
Yep.
So I think DICE does respect that, but at a certain time when people are saying, why do you, let's have a conversation. You're like, we're 2 months out from shipping. Like, your system's locked in, guys. We know.
Yeah. We know. Yeah. You could say it's not, but we know.
Yeah. Yeah. There seems to be a bunch of there's a couple little things in there that are interesting. Hit markers have a little more information in them now. You can see bullets that are being shot at you but missing. It's really subtle.
Oh,
but there's
like a little. Notice that.
Yeah, I didn't either until watching footage back actually. And
so wait, when you're getting shot at, or when you're trying to shoot at someone else?
When you're getting shot at.
Hit markers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's instead of red, it's gray. So you wouldn't immediately notice it. But if now that I'm aware of it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to look for that when the beta.
Subconsciously, maybe. Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Looks like there's going to be a decent amount of UI customization. I didn't really play around with it that much because
neither did I.
We were mostly just scrambling to get our streams and crap set up. I'm like, oh God, is all the audio channels and stuff right?
Yep.
So I didn't look at the menu settings.
And the UI that was there was completely fine. Minimap felt solid.
Yeah.
Felt like it had good information. Oh, what did you think about the auto spotting feature? Not auto spotting, but like auto chevron over someone's head if you looked in their general area.
Little bit aggressive, in my opinion.
A little bit aggressive. I agree. Yeah. I think it's a little bit too much. It makes it harder to stealth because if someone doesn't immediately notice you, there were so many times when I would like scan an area and then I would be like, oh, wait a second, there was someone there. I had no idea, but only because there was a chevron that popped over their head.
Yeah. That felt more aggressive than it's ever been, to be honest.
Yeah.
And when I was doing it to locate people, when I located people that way and was like just mowing people down through smoke behind debris that I couldn't even see sometimes.
Especially smoke. Yep.
It made me wonder how often it was happening to me. And what I don't like about the systems is we've got these beautifully, super realistically rendered games where you're like, there's debris and smoke, and I'm like moving next to a wall, hugging the wall, trying to stay out of sight, trying to stay behind the smoke and stuff. If you're telling me that some dude just has to look within 5 degrees of where I am and it'll be like, bing, he's right there. Yep. It sucks, right? You're like, oh,
sometimes you're not even looking at them. Sometimes they just pop up on like the sign. You're like, holy God. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was too much.
Yeah. I became reliant on it, and that felt, not to drag COD through the mud, but it felt COD Kitty to a degree, where I was like, don't worry about scanning the environment for your enemy.
I don't think it's, you can blame Call of Duty if you want. There's probably some validity to that. I think it's visibility. I think that they're worried that they're going to have a Battlefield 5 situation where Battlefield 5 launched and visibility was impossible. You could literally go prone in rubble and an entire team would run past you and they wouldn't be able to know you were there.
Yeah.
I did it. I literally had that happen to me.
Yeah.
And I think that especially with the incredible visuals, with all the things, the particle effects, it's a gorgeous game, but there's a lot of rubble on the ground. You might have moments where someone is literally just prone and you never notice them, and that's not fun.
Yes.
And so I think they're trying to find that sweet spot where you will see people, because at the end of the day, it's a shooter. You're meant to see people and have engagements. You don't want to have moments where you're just frustratingly dying to people that you just don't see, but you also want to have some stealth because that's a part of the game too.
Mm-hmm. It's an incredibly difficult problem to solve because inherently games are getting more realistic, looking better, more debris and particles. I was just praising how good the particle system looks in the game. That's probably one of the number one causes for not being able to see a player is crap loads of smoke and dust in an environment. You know, somebody goes prone and they just blend in. You're not really seeing the outline of their character. Battlefield 5 had like a year of them trying to figure out ways to make soldiers pop out of the environment. And it involved complicated shader stuff where they're trying to make the edges of people reflect more light than the rest of the environment.
Than the environment.
It was a really complicated process, like not simple at all. And so what we're seeing now might actually be what they've dialed it in at and said, like, if we make it any less aggressive than it is now, you're going to be throwing your controller at the screen or whatever, because you're just going to constantly be dying to some dude that's prone in a bush or some tall grass somewhere.
Right.
And that'll change up the feeling and the pacing of the game completely. So I don't know where the right spot is. It's hard for me to say on the consumer side without having the control of the dial, right? I can't go, oh, it's a little too aggressive, little less aggressive. The only and the solutions for it are incredibly complicated, right? Where you go, okay, can this system be aware of how much smoke and debris is between my camera and the player, and then adjust the aggressiveness of the spotting based on the number of particle effects or how closely their soldier skin blends in with the environment around them? Are we going to do a color picker calculation? Like, it just gets way too insane on all the logic that you could built into a smart spotting system. And I wouldn't put it past DICE to actually do the work, because listening to how much work they put into redesigning weapons and all that stuff, I was like, wow, you guys redesigned something from the ground up that I thought was pretty good to begin with. So like, they'll put in the work and they'll go crazy on these things. And spotting might be one of those systems where they might have to design like 3 more layers of logic to it before it starts to feel less overpowered and more like you still need to look for somebody, right?
It wasn't ruining the experience, but as I played, I noticed, like what you said, I was relying on it, where I would just notice people out in the distance that I normally would not have noticed. And I didn't like that, and I'm hoping that they tone it down. Yeah,
I got plenty of kills that were like somebody in a dark window that I couldn't see, but their spotting marker popped up.
And then it popped.
Guys in the middle of a big old cloud of smoke and debris, couldn't see them, shot through it.
And to clarify for people that are wondering, it's not spotting. It's only for you. It's only putting a little star over their head. Spotting is, I have no problem with spotting. If someone spotted, that's teamwork. You know, they went through the effort to spot that guy. That's great. It's not that system. It's separate.
Yep, it's the auto spotting for your character only. Shows that little mark above them. We called it sort of the triangles from the past games, but not a permanent triangle. Just when you're aiming within 5 to 10 degrees of a target or something, then it'll put it up to help you track them a little bit better, that kind of thing. So all this stuff, though, is stuff that can absolutely be dialed in. So
yeah, it's more minor stuff.
It's minor stuff. I didn't find it game breaking. I just found it less than ideal, right? And yeah, it's stuff that they can dial in. They got plenty of stuff that they can work on, make better. But I think almost everybody I talked to at the event felt that, like, foundationally, what was played there felt really good.
It was solid. Yeah.
Especially from a performance side too, right? We're all like, we're playing this game and like, it's smooth.
Running well.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm going to eat my words. It's going to launch and somehow.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't just absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, what I'm excited about this time, and I was chatting with you a little bit at the event about this, is like, they're doing the beta. It's going to be open. Everyone can play it. They don't have to come back like after they buy the game and be like, Matimio said it was going to be good, and it's not. Now people can play it themselves, and
without
that's
having
great.
to pre-order.
Yeah, now people can decide if it's something they want to buy. which is good. I think it's DICE really like being like, hey, we're proud of this.
I think they're
and we're
confident in their game, and it shows for sure, which I'm glad to see. It's not perfect. It's got problems. It was definitely early, but considering what we've seen from past Battlefields and their betas, this is way better than 2042. Like, not even close.
Yes.
In my opinion, of course.
I agree with you. And it's a nice everybody's saying it's a return to form, and it is to a degree.
It does, yeah.
It has been a literal decade since the last launch of a modern military shooter for the studio. And this one is following in the footsteps of BF3, BF4, and hitting all the right notes and bringing back all the classic stuff and refining it and adding to it. And it feels solid. And there's still some more unknowns. I will admit, I'm excited for whatever that Firestorm mode is. I think it could be really cool, but I've never played. I haven't played it, so that's a nice little unknown. But it'll be allegedly Battlefield's first free offering of a game mode, and I think they have a few other hidden stuff. They're holding some secrets back. I was hearing some rumblings of some secret stuff that they don't want to talk about yet. So
okay.
Hopefully there's some exciting reveals. I literally don't know what it was. People were a bit tight-lipped about it, but just like enough to be like, whoa, wait till you see the thing that we're working on. You're like, what thing? They're like, you'll see.
You'll see.
Yeah. So I think hopefully we're in store for a few little you'll see moments.
Yeah. My general thoughts is that it's looking solid. I don't want to hype it up too much because we've been burned before.
Yep.
But what I played was solid. I wasn't really vibing with the smaller game modes. That was really my only big critique.
Yeah.
And the fact that when at the event, that goddamn trailer they showed was way too loud.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bro. I think I talked to 20 or 30 people that were just like, what was up with the volume of that presentation? The guy dialed it to 11, and I'm trying to figure out, like, I was just chatting with some guys today, and I was like, how's your guys' hearing? Because I still feel like mine feels off.
Oh, no. And
a little bit.
That's how loud. Like, I know some people are like, what, you're complaining about the audio? So they showed off the trailer, and it was so loud. I put in my earbuds, turned them on to noise canceling, and I could still hear everything just fine. And every time an explosion happened, my chest rumbled.
Yeah.
Like, I could feel it was a physicality, which was cool, but not is cool enough where I want to have ear damage.
Yeah, I think there was some legit ear damage during that presentation.
Yeah, it was too much. It was genuinely too loud. I was gonna pull a full Karen and like yell, like, turn down the volume. It was that bad.
Yeah,
and I'm a scared man.
Everybody there was debating like standing up and walking out or something.
Yeah,
that was just bad sound engineering from their display stuff, because the trailer was cool and I found it very hard to enjoy it while I was worrying about whether or not I was going to be able to hear for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So I literally saw people like reaching up to their ear to like rub their ears, and I was like, this is too much.
Yeah. Anyway,
other than that
was fun.
and the smaller game modes, like the event was really enjoyable. I know it's an event and they're trying to put their best foot forward. Like I said, we don't know what performance is going to be like because they were probably very curated on the systems that they had. You know, we only played on a couple of maps that could be the best maps that they have, and all the other ones are going to be, stinkers. We don't know, but they were clearly confident, and it showed. Yep.
I think I'm feeling pretty positive about where it's heading, and I'm excited to see the bigger player base play it and get into, like, actually just get into the open beta and play what I want for as long as I want. Like, I'm very excited about that.
For sure.
Hopefully there'll be a new map in there, but probably not. It's probably going to be the same build. Yeah.
I'm hoping there's at least the 3 conquest maps.
Yes, that would be nice enough variety. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you want to wrap it there?
Sounds good.
We've been talking about Battlefield for like quite a while now. This is a good one.
Yep.
A long one.
Good. Yep.
I hope you guys enjoyed our little debrief on Battlefield. We'll all be playing it soon. Actually, if this podcast comes out Wednesday, the open beta is Thursday?
Well, it's the early access is Thursday.
I still don't even fully understand the rules to early. I got to read up on it again. Like, where's my key? I need a key. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support our podcast further, check out our Patreon links down below. You can watch us record it live on Monday, which several people are doing right now. Jason is accusing me of hacking in the game, which is why I got banned from those Battlefield servers. You can leave useful comments like that while we're streaming, and I'll see out of the corner of my eye and then think about it the entire time we're having our conversation. But yeah, thank you guys for dropping by, and Matt's going to leave you with some extremely useful advice.
So my advice this time around is don't pre-order the game. Wait until the beta.
Oh, snap.
I'm hearing people saying, like, you know, they're like, I'm pre-ordering. I'm like, I mean, that's great. I'm not one of those people that say never pre-order. If you're an adult, do what you want. Like, I'm not going to be here and, like, you know, manage you and your pre-order habits. But yeah, just wait for the beta and then decide after that.
Are you going to get the Phantom Ghost Warrior Zen Edition or whatever it's called?
I don't know. We'll see.
You don't want those tier skips, bro, and that 6 skin? Come on.
Like, yeah, there's going to be Battle Pass.
Yeah. It's all going to be there.
We knew that, though.
Yeah, we know. And also, it's like nobody's forcing anybody to pre-order. There's a free open beta. Just go play it. Figure it out for yourself, right?
Exactly.
DICE seems pretty confident.
Even though we're clearly enjoying ourselves,
yeah,
it could be the honeymoon phase, and you'll play it yourself and be like, this is garbage. And then you won't waste your money.
Yeah. Make up your own mind. I don't want to hear anybody coming out and be like, Level Cap and Matimio hyped it up and I bought it and now I don't like it. It's like
you'll still hear it. Don't worry. You'll still get those comments.
Okay. I do want to hear some of those comments, but
because it means they respect your opinion, and that's flattery.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.
Take care.